So the fly we're going to do in this video clip is the Marabou Nymph, a beadhead version, so I've put the small bead. I actually prefer copper and black beads to the gold ones. I don't use a lot of the gold ones. I'm a bit hung up on natural colours. But obviously the choice is yours. To put the bead up against the eye of a nymph hook, heavy weighted nymph hook, and run the thread in touching turns back to almost the bend. And then we're going to tie in a tail, just as we would with so many other different nymphs. At that point we'll tie in some tail fibres. So I'm going to select some cock hackle or coq de lion fibres for the tails. Pinch and loop. I actually prefer to tie the tails in short and then adjust them by pulling them longer if I want them longer. That'll do. And then we're going to tie in some mylar for the rib, and of course the marabou that's going to make up the abdomen. So I'm going to tie in some mylar. This is actually sort of pearlescent green on one side, almost peacock on one side, and copper on the other. Now I'm actually going to tie in the copper on the outside to create the rib. And then we're going to select some marabou for the rest of the abdomen. The great beauty of this pattern is that you get marabou in every single colour of the rainbow, and some. So take some longish marabou fibres, tear them off, and then wet them, because it makes them a lot easier to deal with. I'm going to tie it with brown, but like I say, you can use any colour you like. Pinch and loop onto the top of the hook and take the thread forwards. Notice that I leave the tags there, try to give us a base that's going to give us an even underbody for the fly. And then wrap the marabou forward, just in sort of touching turns like a rope. And you'll see you're already getting these gill filaments sort of and a natural taper without any effort at all. Makes you wonder why anybody uses anything else. It's probably a nymph on its own right there. Then I'm going to rib in the opposite direction with my copper ribbing. And obviously you can use narrow rib, you can use copper wire, you can use and tie it off, whatever takes your fancy, really. I prefer these wide ribs in still water patterns, but I tend to use copper wire in my river flies for some reason. If you want to pick out that marabou a little bit more from the ribbing, just give it a quick, gentle rub with a bit of Velcro. Pull out those fibres that were trapped. Yeah. And then finally we're going to tie in some peacock herl as a thorax. And again, in much the same way as we've done before, I prefer to wrap the herl around the thread, adds some durability. And tie off behind the bead. One thing that I really do dislike in fly patterns with beads is that just with a little bit of care you can hide the whip finish behind the bead. Just make a few turns of whip finish and dig your nail in behind that bead and let the thread settle in behind the bead. And then you haven't got these horrible whip finishes showing, which I think just spoil the whole look of the fly. And there you have it. Beadhead marabou bodied nymph. As with all the flies in this book, it's very adaptable. But it's so simple. So easy to obtain the materials. Quick. You can tie them in every size from 10 right down to 20. And cover probably every kind of nymph you'd ever want to by this simple method. And obviously you can choose not to use a bead, or use a bead, or put a lid or copy up wire underbody if you want to. But that's the basis of the Marabou nymph. Very versatile pattern.